When I saw what was said down in spring training, I had to read it twice. Because this wasn't just another random quote. This hit different. You've got a new face in camp, someone who's worn the other uniform before, someone who's been inside that clubhouse in the Bronx. And now he's basically saying that last October, his team was relieved they didn't have to see Boston in a short series. That they were happier facing New York. Let that sink in for a second. And then, almost immediately, the response comes out of Tampa. Calm, dismissive, almost trying too hard to sound unbothered. This is why I love this rivalry. It's never just about the games. It's about perception, respect, fear. And right now, the Red Sox are suddenly being talked about like a team nobody wants to face when it matters. But here's the thing. That wasn't the only storyline quietly brewing behind the scenes. While one comment stirred up old division tension, another report dropped that could have completely shifted the balance of power in the AL East. And it almost happened without anyone noticing. Something big was attempted. Something that would have changed how we look at this roster heading into next season. We're going to break all of that down. What was said, why it matters, who was involved, and what it tells us about where this team is really headed. But before we do, real quick, if you're watching and you actually care about this team the way we do, hit that like button and subscribe. Red Sox Today is brand new. We're pushing for our first 1,000 subscribers, and we're building this with real fans who live every pitch. If you bleed red and navy, you're in the right place. All right, let's get into this first one, because there's a lot more here than just a spicy quote. So the comment came from Isaiah Keener-Falefa, now wearing a Red Sox uniform after signing a one-year, $6 million deal on February 4th. And yeah, maybe he was just being honest. Or maybe he knew exactly what he was doing by poking the Yankees fan base a little bit. Either way, it landed. IKF said that his 2025 Blue Jays team was actually happy they got to face the Yankees instead of Boston in that best-of-5 division series last October. Why? Because of one guy, Garrett Crochet. According to him, inside that Blue Jays clubhouse, it was a real conversation. They felt Boston was the tougher matchup, specifically because facing Crochet twice in a short series would have been brutal. And honestly, he's not wrong. Crochet absolutely dominated Toronto in the regular season. 3 starts, a 1.23 ERA, only 3 earned runs allowed across 20 and 2/3 innings. That's not just good. That's nightmare fuel in October. Now let's zoom out for a second. The Yankees had just beaten Boston in that best-of-3 wildcard series. It went the distance. It wasn't easy. Then New York runs into Toronto and gets bounced in 4 games. In Game 1, Toronto knocked out Luis Gil, the 2024 American League Rookie of the Year, after just 2 innings in a 10-1 blowout. Game 2, they shelled all-star lefty Max Fried for 7 runs in just over 3 innings in a 13-7 romp. So when IKF says they were relieved to see the Yankees instead of Boston, there's evidence to back up why. And remember, this is a guy who played for the Yankees in 2023 and 2024. He was their starting shortstop in 2023. In 2024, he became that super utility guy, bouncing between infield and outfield. Over 255 games in pinstripes, he hit .253, 10 homers, 85 RBIs, 36 stolen bases. Not flashy, but steady. He even won a Gold Glove earlier in his career. Ironically, in that division series against the Yankees, IKF didn't do much personally, 0 for 6 with an error across 4 games. But that's not the point. The point is what he revealed about the mindset inside that Toronto clubhouse. And then comes the response from Aaron Boone down in Tampa on reporting day for pitchers and catchers. "I guess he was right," Boone said. "A little surprised to hear it. Not really bothered. You've got to play who you play." That's the kind of answer you give when you're trying not to give it oxygen. But let's be real as Red Sox fans. That quote matters. Because for years, Boston was the team trying to catch New York. The Yankees were the measuring stick. Now, a pennant-winning team openly admits they preferred facing the Bronx over dealing with Boston's ace in a short series. That's respect. That's fear factor. And for a clubhouse that's still building its identity, that kind of external validation, that fuels something. Now here's where it gets interesting. While this rivalry talk was heating up publicly, something much bigger was quietly happening behind the scenes. Something that, if it had gone through, might have made those Yankees comments look small by comparison. And trust me, this next part should have every Yankees fan a little nervous, even if it didn't happen. Let's talk about the trade that almost changed everything. Now we get to the part that honestly gave me chills when I read it. Because while all that back and forth noise was happening publicly, behind the scenes, the Red Sox were apparently trying to pull off something massive. According to insider Sean McAdam, Boston made multiple attempts to trade for Zack Neto from the Los Angeles Angels. Multiple attempts. Let that sink in. This wasn't a random phone call. This wasn't due diligence. They pushed for him. And if you're a Yankees fan, yeah, you should be very, very happy that deal didn't happen. For now, Neto is only 25 years old. 25. He's already considered one of the top 10 shortstops in the game heading into the 2026 season. And the scary part? He's still trending up. Even with injuries last year, missing a big chunk of the first month recovering from shoulder surgery, and then losing the last couple of weeks of the 2025 season with a hand injury, he still finished with 26 home runs and 26 stolen bases. That's a legitimate 30-30 threat if he stays healthy. And imagine adding that kind of dynamic player to this lineup. Now defensively, there are questions. He's not viewed as a strong defender at shortstop. So would Boston have kept him there? Or moved him to second base? Pair him with an aging Trevor Story and suddenly your middle infield defense looks shaky. But offensively, that changes everything. What makes this even more fascinating is that Neto's name wasn't floating around in Red Sox rumors at all. We heard about Ketel Marte. We heard about Brendan Donovan. There were connections to Nico Hoerner from the Chicago Cubs. Even young Matt Shaw got mentioned. But Neto? Silence. And that's kind of been the theme under Craig Breslow. They move quietly. No smoke, no leaks. Remember how nobody saw the Ranger Suarez signing coming? Or the Caleb Durbin trade? That's how they operate now. They tried to land a franchise-changing shortstop without anyone even catching a whiff of it. Now, why didn't it happen? The Angels set a prohibitive price, and honestly, their situation is complicated. General manager Perry Minasian is on the hot seat with his contract expiring at the end of the season. New manager Kurt Suzuki is only on a one-year deal. Ownership under Arte Moreno has been unpredictable for years. This is a franchise that lost Shohei Ohtani after the 2023 season and followed that up with a franchise-worst 99 losses in 2024. They say they want to contend this year, which, let's be honest, feels misguided given the roster. But with leadership fighting for jobs, they're not hitting the reset button. Not yet. So they held on to Neto. But here's the part that should keep Yankees fans up at night. This doesn't mean the threat is gone. If things go sideways in Los Angeles, Major injury in spring training, another slow start, Minasian getting fired mid-season. Everything changes. A new general manager could come in and decide to rebuild. And Boston? With one of the deeper farm systems in baseball, they could absolutely re-engage and dangle multiple prospects. From Boston's perspective, if this roster doesn't feel like enough, they can go back to the well, and Neto would be a game changer. Think about that for a second. You've got a division rival already being labeled a tougher October matchup because of their ace. And now imagine adding a 25-year-old potential 30-30 shortstop into that mix. That's not small. That's not incremental improvement. That's a statement. And when you connect both of these stories, the fear factor comments and the aggressive pursuit of elite young talent, it paints a very clear picture about where this franchise thinks it is right now. But before we wrap this up, let's zoom out and really talk about what these two developments together say about the Boston Red Sox heading into this next chapter. When you step back and look at both of these stories together, it tells you something bigger than just a quote, bigger than just a trade rumor. It tells you the Boston Red Sox are not operating like a passive team anymore. On one side, you've got a player who's been inside the Yankees clubhouse admitting that his team preferred facing New York over Boston in October because of what this pitching staff, especially Garrett Crochet, represented in a short series. That's not hype. That's not media spin. That's inside-the-room honesty. On the other side, you've got the front office aggressively trying to pry away a 25-year-old top-tier shortstop who could change the trajectory of this lineup for the next 5 years. That combination matters. It says the players believe this team is dangerous, and it says the front office believes this team is close. Now, is everything perfect? No. There are still defensive questions. There are still roster balance concerns. And yeah, some of the off-season moves might cancel each other out if we're being brutally honest. But this doesn't feel like a rebuild anymore. This feels decisive. This feels like a franchise that knows the AL East window is cracking open again, and they're trying to kick the door down. Is it risky? Absolutely. Is it aggressive? 100%. And as a fan who lives every game, every rumor, every press conference, I'd rather see this than complacency. Because here's the reality. If teams are openly admitting they didn't want to see us in October and we're still trying to add more firepower, that's not a team hoping to compete. That's a team planning to. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the Red Sox are actually closer than people realize? Would you have paid the price for Zack Neto if it meant locking down the middle infield for years? And how much weight do you put on those fear factor comments? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it like real fans. And if you're enjoying this kind of honest, no-filter Red Sox talk, make sure you like the video and subscribe to Red Sox Today. We're a brand new channel, grinding toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and we're building this with fans who care about every pitch as much as we do. If you bleed red and navy and want real conversation, you're home here. I'll see you in the next one.